One of the biggest challenges of moving to any new city or a country is setting up a new life in this new location where you know no one, you don't know how things work, you don't know how to find an apartment, what can you trust, what can you not trust. All of these little day-to-day things that you just know how they work in your home country, but you don't know how they work in your new country. So if you're looking to move to Dubai specifically, then in this video, I want to give you essentially a full guide on setting up a new life in Dubai. So all of these everyday practicalities that you simply need to deal with when you're moving to Dubai, like opening up a bank account, finding an apartment, starting up your new network of friends or colleagues and your circle, opening up an investment account, getting a driver's license, all these things that might sound a bit scary when you just don't know how any of it works and you don't even know where to start to look for these things. So hopefully just by watching this video, I can act as almost like a friend who's just walking you through so that you don't have to worry about them. You can just focus on making your move because you will know exactly what to do once you land in Dubai. If you're wondering why you should listen to me, I have personally lived in Dubai for 2 years now. I made a lot of mistakes when I was moving there. I had to do so much research, like hundreds of hours of research on all of these things, like which bank accounts to open, like how am I going to find friends, all of these things. So I hope that just by watching this video, you can literally save those hundreds of hours within the next 10 to 15 minutes or however long this video is. Now first, let's talk about just the process of moving here, how to get a residency here and how to set up a company here if you're moving here as an entrepreneur. Now on this channel, I've covered this topic in detail in a lot of other videos before, so I will leave those links down below if you want all the details of this, but just a high level overview of how this is going to work. If you're moving to Dubai, the easiest way for you to do that is to open up a company here and essentially hire yourself as either the manager or director of that company. Most likely you're going to be opening what's called a free zone company, where essentially the purpose is that that company is not going to be doing business directly with consumers within the UAE mainland, but rather they're doing business online. For me, this is the exact kind of business I have. And to do that, you can either reach out to these free zones directly, or you can do what I recommend, which is to use a reputable agency who will just help you go through all of this process, who will essentially just do this all for you. And once that is set up, you're going to hire yourself, you're going to issue yourself a work visa that is going to give you the right to live full-time in the UAE, and this visa is going to be renewable every 2 years. After that is done, you need to go to the UAE physically to complete a medical test, apply for your Emirates ID, which we'll talk about in a second, as well as a few other formalities to finalize your residency process. And after that, now you are a fully fledged resident of the UAE. If you want help with going through this process, which is an extremely quick process by the way, it can be done in as little as 2 to 4 weeks, then I can hook you up with my business partners down below who are experts at doing this. They've done this for hundreds of people. They know every single scenario and they will give you a Western standard service. So none of these like low quality garbage that you might get from a lot of other agencies. And the fee that they charge is also extremely reasonable. What they offer is a free 45-minute consultation where you can essentially talk to them for free for 45 minutes first, where they will explain to you everything about how all this works, and then you can make your decision. So that call booking link will be down below in the description. Now the first thing that you need to deal with when you become a resident of the UAE is that you need to get your Emirates ID. So your Emirates ID is essentially like your national ID card that essentially unlocks almost everything else that you need to do as a resident in the UAE, like opening up a bank account, rental contract, all these kinds of things. So the way this will work is that when you first arrive in the UAE, you're going to fill out an application for your Emirates ID, or if you're using an agency like the ones I recommend below, they will just do this for you. And it will take a few business days to like maybe 1 to 2 weeks for this card to arrive, like it's a physical card. And once you have that, then you can start doing basically everything else on this list, starting with getting your apartment. Now how you do this will depend on whether you're looking to rent for the entire year or a shorter period of time. A lot of people who move to Dubai don't actually live there for the entire 12 months because the summers are so oppressively hot. So if you're looking to rent something for the short term, like for example when I arrived, it was February and I knew I was only going to be staying until May for that first sort of batch of living in Dubai, then I recommend using either Airbnb. Now I actually use this platform called Blueground. This is essentially designed to be a holiday rental platform where Blueground essentially furnishes all these apartments that they offer in a very similar way. It's very high quality furnishing. Now this is going to be very overpriced compared to what you could get on some of the other platforms that we're going to talk about in a second, but the benefit here is that it's very easy. You can rent for as little as 1 month and as long as 12 months. And the way it just works is that you just book the place from the website Dubai from all the options that you have, so you don't need to deal with like an agent, like contacting them and all this. So it's very easy, but the fees that they charge and the sort of upcharge that they charge on the rent compared to what you could get is going to be very high. So it's great for a short-term option if you're just looking for something easy. And I would say if you're just looking to get your first apartment as soon as possible, this is going to be the easiest option. But if you're looking to save money, then probably this is not the right option. The other one is going to be obviously Airbnb. That's going to be very similar, except obviously you can also get them for even shorter than 1 month. I found that on Airbnb, they have less options than Blue Ground, and it's going to be also more expensive, and you don't really have any guarantee on the quality. Now, if you're looking to rent something for the longer term, so for the entire year, then you're going to essentially be looking into an actual, like a real tenancy contract. And the way you're going to find apartments for this is going to be on 2 platforms. One of them is going to be Property Finder. This is the biggest one in the UAE. The other one is going to be called Bayut. I will leave the links for both of them down below in the description. Essentially, they work like rental platforms in any other country that you might be used to. You just find the apartments, either furnished or unfurnished. They have both of them. Unfurnished, obviously, is going to be cheaper. Furnished is going to be slightly more expensive. And then you're going to contact the agents and like they're going to take you from there. Property Finder is also a really good website because they have a lot of data about like average prices in different areas and things like this. So if you're looking for an apartment in, let's say, Dubai Marina, and you're wondering like, is this expensive or is this cheap? You can compare it to the average in the area just to get an idea of sort of what the prices should be in all the different areas. One thing to know about renting in the UAE is that usually the landlords will prefer that you pay in as few number of payments as possible. And it is in fact quite common that you're going to be required, or at least preferred, to pay the entire year's rent upfront, which means that if you want to do that, then you're going to need to have that lump sum available to you straight away when you move in. And if you don't do that, then they're going to charge a bit more. If you have a job in the UAE, I've heard that a lot of the time the companies will like give some portion of your salary as like a signing bonus or basically upfront to allow you to pay for this apartment upfront. In terms of opening a bank account, there's a bunch of banks in the UAE that are sort of divided into 2 main types of banks. You're going to have international banks and you're going to have local banks. Generally, I find that the local banks, aka the banks that are actually based in the Middle East and in the UAE, are going to offer better service and just a lot more options. The one that I mainly use is Emirates NBD. This is what I found to be the best bank in the country, and they also have one of the best credit cards, Emirates Skywards Infinite credit card, that basically just gives you points for the Emirates Airlines. So I would recommend opening up that account. And by the way, if you're using my agent services down below as part of the package for no extra cost, they're also going to just open up your Emirates NBD bank account for you in just 1 day because they have connections directly at the bank. If you're not using their services, then just bear in mind that opening up a bank account in the UAE can be a bit of a headache because usually it's quite outdated. Like you have to actually physically go to the branch and they will ask for all these documents that, by the way, have to be physically printed for some reason. And it's always different documents and it might just depend on the banker, like what documents they ask you. So I recommend just bringing all the possible documents that you've got throughout the entire process of you getting your visa, setting up your company, going to the bank. You might have to wait for an hour. It's very annoying, but once you just have it open up, then the banks here are actually extremely good. I also made a full video on banking here in the UAE that I recommend you watch down below in the description if you want all the details. But some of the other banks that I would recommend looking at is first Abu Dhabi Bank. The reason I like them is that they have like the best interest rate on a savings account out of any bank in the UAE as of recording this. The other one you should definitely open is going to be WEO Personal, and that's also, by the way, if you have a company, the best bank account to open by far is going to be WEO Business. It's like an online bank like a Revolut or something like that if you're used to that in like something like the UK. It can be opened very easily, very quickly, and covers all your needs. And now they also have a personal account that gives us access to really good interest rates, a good credit card that gets you 2% cash back. So if you get those 3 banks, then that is really going to have you covered. Now, what about an investment account? Now, with some of these banks, you can invest directly with the bank, but the one that usually everyone uses here in the UAE is going to be something called Interactive Brokers. Now, this is actually a US-based investment account, but they are available all over the world and available for UAE residents as well. What you would do is just go there, open up an account. It's a very sort of sophisticated platform. They have very low fees, which is why so many people like it. The way you deposit money is that you just wire it directly to them from your UAE bank account. If possible, you want to wire it in US dollars. So for example, with WEO Personal, you're going to be able to open a US dollar account within that bank and exchange money from dirhams to US dollars with no fees. So I found that the cheapest way to deposit money to Interactive Brokers is to first transfer some dirhams into US dollars within WEO Personal, and then from there wire US dollars directly into Interactive Brokers. Now there is another option called Sarwa. That's a UAE based investing platform. I would not recommend them at all because basically the way it works is that under the hood, they still open up an interactive brokers account for you. So interactive brokers is still going to be the place where your money is actually held. But what Sarwa simply offers is a more simple interface on top of that. But I don't recommend it because they charge very high fees for basically no benefit. So don't recommend that at all. I recommend interactive brokers. By the way, if you want to open an interactive brokers account yourself, I recommend you do it from my referral link down below, because if you do that, you're going to get up to $1,000 in free stock when you open up that account, depending on how much you deposit. So you basically might as well do that if you're going to open that account, because it's just free money. So check that link down below. Now, a super important factor is going to be your network. How are you going to meet people in Dubai? Now, this is always going to be a big challenge when you're moving to any city if you don't know anyone there. Now, hopefully, if you're moving there, you know at least one person, because what I found is that just having that one connection can make all the difference, because that person might be able to then introduce you to their friends, who will introduce you to their friends, and that is where you can sort of start building out your network. But let's say you're not that fortunate, like me personally. When I moved to Dubai, I knew 0 people there. I didn't know anyone. So how did I make friends? For me, the way it ended up happening is that I joined this online program for YouTubers, and it just so happens that in this online program, which is actually Ed from Film Booth, the YouTube channel, you might have seen him, also lived in Dubai, and there was another person on that course that also lived in Dubai. So we sort of established that we all live in Dubai, and then we ended up meeting in person, and we became really good friends. And then via him, I met someone else that he knew, and that's sort of how my network started to be formed in Dubai. And then over time, actually largely via this channel, because I talk about Dubai, a lot of people have been reaching out on Instagram. I've met up a lot of people. I made business connections via this channel. So for me, this is how it's happened. Now for you, if you don't have a YouTube channel where you talk about Dubai, then I would say your best option is going to be to just attend events. Like, they have a lot of events for all kinds of industries, whatever industry you're in. I recommend just looking up events for that industry. There's going to be a lot of clubs for different sports. Let's say you want to play paddle or football. So that is perhaps the easiest way if you have no connections, if you don't happen to know anyone. But it can be scary. It actually took me quite a lot of time to make that first connection. Now, luckily, I'm the type of person where I'm very comfortable being on my own, so I didn't mind being on my own, just focusing purely on work. But luckily, eventually, I made that first connection. And once I made that first connection, that's when things started happening. Let's talk about getting a driver's license. So when you become a UAE resident, technically, I think you can drive on your home country license, but really you are supposed to get the local license. The way you do that is that depending on your nationality, so depending on the country of your existing driver's license, you might just be able to swap it directly for the UAE driver's license. For me, fortunately, I had my driver's license in Finland, and Finland was one of these countries. So the way it worked is I filled out an application online that gave me an appointment at a sort of what they call a customer happiness center, where I had to go to basically just exchange my existing license to the UAE driver's license. I think I just had to fill some forms, answer some questions. It was a very, very easy and quick process, and that was that. I would also recommend you get the international driving permit that will allow you to use your UAE driving license abroad. If you're not lucky enough to be from one of these countries where you can just exchange your license, you are going to have to do some driving lessons and a driving test to get the driver's license in the UAE. Now, just for some other practicalities of living in the UAE. If you live somewhere in the West, you might be used to using apps like Uber for ride hailing. In the UAE, a very similar, like almost equivalent app to Uber, that's except much better actually, is something called Careem. This is the first app that I recommend everyone download when they arrive in the UAE. So Careem is essentially like Uber and Uber Eats in one. And you can order all kinds of things from this app. It's really, really great. You're going to get taxis, you can get rides, you can order food. And by the way, a lot of the time you can get very, very affordable food from Careem if you're ordering it even in Dubai. So even though Dubai can be expensive for eating out, actually ordering food can be almost the same price as cooking food yourself, because they have so many deals available all the time. But you can also order so many other things. You can order cleaning from the app. Again, very, very affordable. You can order someone to do your laundry. You can get car rentals. Almost all of the cars that I've rented in the UAE have been from this app. You can also get a bunch of deals on eating out. Just by showing Careem and like the restaurant on Careem, they will give me a discount of like 25 or 30%. Really, really useful. You can also order groceries, spa treatments, pharmacy, like pretty much everything you can think of, you can get from this app. It's one of the best apps I've used. So definitely download this app as soon as you get to the UAE. Now, what about dating? Now, dating in Dubai is probably one of my least favorite parts about the country. Now, dating apps are actually banned in the country.
Now, technically, you can still use them if you use a VPN.
You didn't hear that from me, by the way. What makes Dubai sort of difficult for dating is that there are so many what we call freelancers, like people who are looking for not actually dating, but other kinds of stuff. You probably know what I mean. So if you're on the app, you have to weed through a lot of these freelancers to get the real people. And the other difficult part about dating in Dubai is that it definitely attracts a lot of gold diggers, a lot of people who have been spoiled by some billionaire that has invited them there, sort of just looking for that. Now, it's not to say that it cannot be done. I have dated in Dubai. It can be great, but it can be more difficult, at least from a male perspective. I don't know what it's like from a female perspective. By the way, if you are a female, please comment down below and let me know about dating in Dubai. I'd be really interested to find out. The other thing to consider about dating in Dubai is that it is a Muslim country. It is a more modest culture. So there are certain things that you want to avoid doing. So you want to avoid any sort of overt public shows of affection, like kissing in public, like all these kind of things. Now, you can do it if you're in the touristy areas, if you're in the expat areas, nothing's really going to happen, but technically you're not supposed to do that. So just be careful with that. But other than those things, I find it's actually a really great city to date if you do manage to find someone great today, because it has a lot of like really datey things to do. Like it has a lot of nice restaurants, a lot of nice areas to walk around. You can go watch the fountain shows, you can go to the beach. Like there's a lot of things to do there if you are dating. I know people there who have found partners there, who have found relationships, but you just want to consider some of those things. I'd say that covers almost everything that I wanted to talk about here. So hopefully now after watching this video, you're going to have a much better idea about how to set up your new life in Dubai, about the practicalities of living here, renting here, moving here, things like this. If you have any other questions, leave them down below in the description. If, however, you're still in the process of moving here or you're looking to move here and you want help with that process, again, the booking link for the completely free consultation is going to be down below in the description. So if you're interested in that, you're interested in moving here, just book that consultation. They can help you. They will tell you everything. They will answer all of your practical questions. So you can do that before you make the decision. With that said, if you want to see another video about living in Dubai, you can watch this video right here. With that, I will see you in the next one.